Hello, and welcome to another episode of SolveTank. Colin is not here this week because he is out of town. So I am your host and moderator. This week we have allwhere, which is let me pull up my little script thing here. Allwhere helps you create a workplace that's cohesive, effective, and connected. Set up, manage, and retrieve all the physical equipment remote workers need. I took a gander through the website, and as I mentioned just a moment ago, you guys have a lot of good beards in your marketing materials, and I think that's very valuable. So I'm interested to see what you have for us today. Do you want to go ahead and introduce yourselves?
Yeah, I'm Chris. I'm the head of IT and security here at allwhere. And I brought with me Martin Carey from our sales team. Martin, you want to introduce yourself? Can I take over?
Sure. Yeah. I'm Martin Carey. I've been with allwhere for a few months, and prior to that, I did sort of IT sales and consulting for an Apple MSP based out of Philadelphia. So I feel like I know and understand a little bit about all of you and what you like and don't like. And so with that, I like to be open and transparent in what we can do and can't do and what we want to try and do. So appreciate and open to all candid feedback and questions. And if I don't know or can't answer it, I'll just say I don't know or I can't answer it. So I think taking it from here, I just have some slides that I can run through. There's about 8 slides that just talk about who we are, what our pricing looks like, and how that works. And then I can dive into a demo of our platform so you can see it. Thanks for the introduction, Rose. Excited to be here and have the opportunity to share this product with all of you. So just at a high level before I dive in, so allwhere is about 1.5 years old, and we sort of stemmed from the pandemic with companies that are remote first or transitioned to remote and struggled with how do we get devices to employees? When we retrieve them, where do they go? Are they in our living rooms or our garages? And who can help us with that? So the idea of allwhere is we provide logistical services for growing companies that are managing remote and hybrid workforces. So with that, I'll dive in to the slides and take it from there. Sound good?
Do it. Let's do it.
Let's do it. So there's one of those amazing beards that you referenced, Rose, from our website. Today, we're managing over $1 million in procurement budget with over 5,000 employees engaged in the platform. We have active operations across North America, Europe, and LATAM, and we have a pretty awesome team. Our product is based on 3 main pillars of services: procurement, retrievals, storage, and deploy, with the idea that you can provide a consistent and exceptional employee experience anywhere in the world. From a procurement side, everything from laptops to peripherals, to furniture, to swag, to anything else that you would procure online that we could procure for you, we can put into a central dashboard to make it simple and easy for you to access. And that includes either IT, operations, HR, facilities, the idea of bringing all this stuff and this process under one platform for everyone to have clear visibility and the ability to take actions on those. Retrievals, which is something that oftentimes is a headache and can be a time vortex in getting in contact with former employees, managing tracking, shipping labels, missed packages, all the stuff wrapped around that. We try to bundle that into a simple and easy process with a fixed cost where you just have a couple clicks and we handle the communication, tracking, updates, challenges for you. And then storage and deploy, having a central warehouse to store your assets, both new and used. And that extends beyond just the device. So swag, peripherals, etc. with the idea that you can have things on hand based upon anticipated growth or employee growth count, and allocate devices and peripherals through a couple clicks. This gives you a map of our current coverage of where we're operating. So from the 3 pillars of services, anything in green, we're up and running and active in. Anything in orange, we're procurement and retrieval. Storage isn't really figured out yet, but we can resell devices. Sometimes retrieving devices from those hard to reach areas, it's more economical to just resell them. And then anything in gray, we're looking forward to and excited to find ways to expand in those regions, and looking for clients and customers to help us build out those areas. The good thing is our team, our logistics and supply chain team comes with lots of experience. So we have a lot of the framework and relationships and processes to ignite those areas when the time comes. When we think about competitors in the marketplace, how we differentiate ourselves, and the main differentiator is our cost model. It's a pay-as-you-go or a cost-plus model, similar to like AWS. So if you want to add more storage or add more features, you pay for them. And if you don't need them, you turn them off and don't pay for them. Same type of approach where there's no monthly fees, no long-term commitment, bring your own assets. So if you have 30 devices in your home that you're holding for your company, we can bring those in and store them for you. You don't have to source them through us. Our infrastructure is agnostic. We have great IT expertise. That would be Chris. The idea of offering choice. So when you onboard an employee, engaging with them in a way where they can make some selections, whether that's as far as selecting a device or as simple as choosing a mouse over a trackpad. We think the idea of engaging employees when they're onboarded and offering them some decisions where they can be a part of that creates some value, a good impression on the company, and helps with retention. And there's no minimums. So the idea is we build out this custom platform for you with all the stuff that you'd want to source and procure and manage for your employees, and you're not required to use it. So if you like it, use it. If you don't. So the idea is that we build it, we think it's remarkable, and that you'll continue to use it. As far as getting on board with allwhere, depending on what pillar of service you're leveraging, if it's all 3, so procuring, retrieving, storing, and deploying, it takes about 2 weeks to get you on board, to get you started. That being said, we can activate a store as quickly as 5 minutes and get you in there, and the ability to submit retrievals and take some actions. But to really customize it, brand it, and really build out what that experience looks like with all the admins and onboarding, it takes about 2 weeks. But the idea is once it's up and running, when you have a new onboarding and the employee signs the offer, we handle the rest from end to end regarding sourcing and provisioning, deploying, updating everyone's inbox with status, but also providing all the updates into the dashboard so everyone has visibility to the status. As far as pricing, on the procurement side, we add a 3% service fee to the cost of goods. So wherever we source it, we add 3%, and that sort of helps pay for the platform, pay for the account management and the services that wrapped around it. Since there's no cost to use the platform, we sort of add a 3% on the procurement side. For retrievals, these are go-to-market prices for retrievals. So if we looked at just, say, a domestic laptop retrieval at $99, which I feel is pretty competitive in the marketplace, that includes a custom box, and that's a double box. So an inner laptop sort of facilitation box with an outer box, 4 pieces of tape, shipping label both ways, with insurance up to $2,000. And then also we can kit in instructions. We have preset instructions, but those can be branded and customized to really make the experience tailored and specific to your business. And again, account manager sees that retrieval request from end to end. So once we gather information from the employee on their address, the admin will actually update them via email along the way, update the admin that initiated it, but also update the platform. And then our storage fees, these are go-to-market prices for storage. So $4 per laptop, $2 for peripherals, $8 for monitors, and then some prices based upon boxes of swag. Knowing that depending on volume, this scales and can be modified depending on how much regarding pallet size, cage size, locker size. So once we get into larger warehousing volume numbers, we work through a number that's fair and reasonable. And then as far as deploying, there's a $10 deployment fee. So whatever's in the warehouse, if you want to deploy that or take action, we charge $10 to get it, box it, package it, and then whatever the shipping charges are on the deployment side. This is just the pathway to becoming a customer, from demo to proposal to onboarding to going live. And then here's sort of a pricing model to show like what's indicative of an in-house procurement versus allware. And you can see, we do our best to source things at a better price. If you go down the list from laptop to accessories, swag and shipping, we have competitive rates with all major carriers because we do a ton of shipping. And then you look at that 3% fee, and how does that 3% fee on that onboarding kit or that procurement budget relate to the time that's spent picking, packaging, shipping, communicating, all of that. So this sort of gives you an idea of an example. Obviously, it's in our favor, but I feel that if we can save you 15 to 20% on each onboarding and give you a platform to view and track all this, it's a big win for everyone. So that's the slide presentation. I can go right into the demo. Rose, what should I do? Should I open the floor or go to the demo?
Yeah, we want to see it.
Go into the demo. Okay. How am I doing so far, everyone? It's my first.
You're doing great.
First
You're doing
time.
so good.
All right, great. All right, so let me pull up the store so everyone can see what it actually looks like. All right, here we go. So this is our platform, and this is really visible by only admins, being IT, HR, facilities, operations, anyone that's has the authority to take action on company-owned devices, whether that's assigning, retrieving, procuring. Or employees or end users would not have access to this portal, just so you know. The idea here, there's 6 tabs across the top. We're at home right now. Inventory dashboard and orders dashboard. Those are the 2 really areas I think what brings the most value to folks like you to be able to take action, to monitor, to track. Employee credit, another way of presenting options to employees is by creating a custom store for them and allocating a credit. I'm not going to get into that for this demo, but it's something that we're building out that some clients like. Request new item that you want added to the store for procurement, and then refer a friend. On the My Account, when you think of admins, there aren't different levels of admins today. Really, anyone who has an admin account can do everything on the platform, but it's something that we've had requests for limited access. So that's in the works, just to get that question answered before it's asked. Below here, you'll see categories. So kits and bundles, device retrieval, and then there's sort of additional things that you can offer, from swag to peripherals, health and wellness, gifting, even furniture, and devices. The idea is our platform can offer a lot to your remote employees, but for us, it's really starting off with understanding what is the current challenge that you're looking to overcome. Is that retrieving devices because it's a pain, it takes forever, and you don't know where they go? Is it storage? So is there no place to store this stuff? Or is it actually onboarding, sourcing, and procuring? So normally we find an area to start, and then from there, based upon the success, we can look at expanding into other areas, engaging with HR or facilities if you're offering things like wellness or welcome gifts or milestone gifts or at-home setups with furniture. So to start, I can dive into sort of kits and bundles and run through an example how you would assign a kit to an employee and what that looks like. We can touch on what that experience would be for the employee regarding how do we engage with the employee and what selections did they make along the way. And then we can look at a device retrieval to see what that process is. And then lastly, I can touch on the inventory dashboard and orders dashboard. So you can see what is all the stuff I have and how can I take action on it? And then from orders, what orders are in play, whether that's a procurement, an onboarding or retrieval, and what is the status? Does that sound good? Cool. So kits and bundles. The idea here is each employee oftentimes gets a specific line of equipment. So we'd work with you to establish what devices are you currently offering and presenting to employees, and we'll build out standard kits based upon those roles or departments. And with each of those kits, we can work with you on establishing what is that budget. So you can either provide specific specifications for things you want to source, or you can leave it up to us within some parameters within a budget, and we can help you curate that. But the idea, for example, an engineering kit, this is an example where we'd present the new employee with options. They could select a 14 or 16. They can make selections around a monitor, mouse and keyboard. There's a furniture option in this example, wellness perks, and then a t-shirt. So think of this through what you do today, and then we would sort of model and curate that based upon your current environment. But from an allocation standpoint, you type in their name. You'd select add to cart. Remove this. You're going to see estimated pricing here. Since we're presenting options to the employee, there's not an estimated, the cost is estimated. The service fee is that 3%. So this is the 3% based upon that procurement budget. And then tax would vary depending on where it's going. You'd select request order, and that would trigger our team to reach out to that employee, first of all, to gather their information and then present them with the options so they can select the equipment that best suits them in their work from home environment. So from there, we'd send an email and link them back to this type form. And this type form is brandable. The language can be customizable to align with the messaging that your company wants. But basically introducing us as Team Allware, working on behalf of you to get them their equipment seamlessly. And when we think about sourcing and delivering equipment, it all really factors around that start date. And we see that as sort of the gold standard of getting the equipment there all together before that start date within the date range that you specify to make sure that that experience is elevated from day one. So from here, we need to get started to get some information so we can ship you your items. Are you a new employee with a start date? Yes. This is our start date. And then it's going to go through requesting information. So first name, last name, verifying spelling, and then go into address, city, state, zip. And this is where we confirm, okay, this is who you are, and this is where we're going to ship your new equipment. We like to confirm this with the employee directly. Number one, it starts that initial relationship for us to execute on the procurement and the deployment, but also sometimes information you might have, there might be some discrepancies. So since we're taking ownership, we want to make sure that we deliver to the address that we collect. So they confirm, and then we take them through this process where they can make selections around their engineering kit. So in this example, 14 or 16. Monitor, let's say no monitor. I have a big monitor at home. I like the Logitech mouse and the Logitech keyboard. I'll take a desk and a chair. And I'll go with the Uber Eats credit. And then t-shirt size, I'll go with extra large. And here they would confirm their shipping and all the items that are being sent. Now, in some circumstances, you may not present options, and everything is sort of set and standardized based on that type of user. In that case, we're going to provide the communication that you'd like us to. We're going to collect their shipping information and then present them with whatever messaging you'd like to provide. Hey, we're sending you out your kit, and it includes XYZ. It's really up to you on how that message wants to be delivered. So that's sort of how you'd allocate a kit to a new employee. Then we can go into retrievals quick. Rose, how much time do I have, just so I'm conscious of it?
I think you still have, I don't know, maybe about 5-7 minutes or so before we want to switch over to questions.
Yep. So device retrieval, we have some set standards around retrieving laptops, monitors, tablets, printers, bulk retrievals. We have situations where we've retrieved 100 to 200 devices, across multiple locations. So our logistics team is pretty creative and professional in how we can get things into our warehouse. But the most common one is our laptop retrieval. And like I mentioned before, this service has a fixed cost of $99. We offer it in different regions with set pricing. So if we go domestic, it's $99. And another nice feature that's included in the laptop retrieval is some actions or services. So first off, you can identify where do you want it to go. We want it to go into the allwhere storage depot. That's where it'll show up in your inventory. You'll be able to take action on it, meaning you could reassign it to another employee. Recycle it. So we work with recycling partners globally to make sure that the devices are environmentally recycled and can provide certificates of data destruction or sanitation around that. And then also reselling, same type of thing. We work with a handful of vendors. If the device says end of life cycle, but it still has value, we can resell it. We'll give you 90% of those proceeds, and we'll keep 10 for facilitating it. Or another destination, which we call a drop retrieval. So retrieving from an employee and going somewhere else. Maybe it's sensitive data based upon the terms of them departing the company. Whatever the case may be, we can do a drop retrieval also. So in this circumstance, we'll say the allwhere storage depot. Actions here, wipe or do not wipe the device. So when it's coming into our depot, there's a whole list of services that we offer, from physically inspecting, taking pictures of the device, physically cleaning, sanitizing the device, verifying that it's operational, grading the condition, and then also the ability to restore the operating system. So it's prepped and ready for touchless deployment, whether you're using Mac or Windows. As long as you have those MDM tools in place to offer that, we can get it prepped and ready for redeployment. So it makes it really easy for you to reassign a device when you need to. So next, you type in the device, and then we recommend putting a unique identifier, such as the serial number in here. So we type MacBook Air, and serial number is, type in a name. Add to cart. We'll remove this engineering kit. Here you'll see the fixed cost, service fee, and then tax depending on where it's going. So very straightforward pricing, select request order. And from there, we're going to take the same sort of pathway that we did before, inviting them to a type form to really collect their information. In this circumstance, we want to gather their name and address of where they're at and where the device is at. So we can work on setting out that retrieval kit, get the equipment in the kit, and then back to its destination. So during that process, we're sending emails to them, we're sending emails to you, and we're also updating that information into the platform. And from here, it's just like we saw before on the engineering kit, deployment, first name, last name, shipping address, and then they confirm the shipping address. And from there, our team takes over. And the nice thing is there's an account manager that sees each of these transactions end to end. So just like you would, if you were creating the label, putting it in a box, shipping it out, and then communicating with the employee or former employee to take action by putting it in the kit and getting it to UPS or coordinating a pickup, we're handling all those services for you, and that's included in that set fee. Take a few minutes here to touch on the inventory and orders dashboard, and then we can go into the Q&A session. So inventory, this is any device that we've taken action on. All of the data around that is recorded here within the inventory dashboard. And you have the ability to see devices or sort or view by devices or by assignees. And then these different filters where you can sort of monitor or filter on what you want to see. So an example where if we wanted to see, show me all devices that are in inventory, let's see, that are Apple. So it shows I have 4 devices, and each of these devices, depending on how it came into our inventory, you'd have data here on the right, specifications, purchase date, warranty, depending on if it was procured through us. It could include things like photos. I don't know if this example has photos. Again, this is sample data in a demo. So knowing that having your data in here, it might look a little bit different. But the ability to then take action on a device. So say this MacBook Air, I want to assign it to an employee. From inventory, I can go in, select it. I can find the employee that I want to assign it to, select the need by date. So they're going to start on the 1st of November, and then you can assign the device. So pretty powerful and easy way to get things from our inventory to your employees with a few clicks. If I go back to the inventory and look at assignees, another way of looking at this would be to look at an employee. You could search by their name, and then you can see what devices they have. So here, Faith Young has 3 devices assigned, and directly from the inventory dashboard, you can retrieve those devices. Then we'll take the same steps for reaching out, confirming her address, shipping out the retrieval kit, maintaining both people on both sides, then updating the dashboard. And that leads to the orders dashboard. And this is where you track orders, both procured orders, assigned orders, but also retrieved devices. So there's an orders view and a retrievals view. Within the orders view, basic things that you can see regarding order number, the recipient, the status, order date, tracking, all of that would be available here. And then retrievals, same situation where you can see the final destination, the status, the order number, and then here you'd see the status, estimated delivery, and tracking number. How many open retrievals you have, how many are pending. So one central place for both HR and IT to see where devices are, what stage we're in retrieving these assets from employees that are leaving, or the status of an order of a replacement device or a new device, or an onboarding, is it on time, where it's at, all visible through one central place. That's a high-level view of inventory and orders. Our platform is in constant development and improvement. One great and exciting thing about being a new growing company is to be able to receive feedback from clients and prospects and make improvements on the fly to better understand what the market is demanding. And it's one of the most exciting things about being part of allwhere. So that concludes my presentation and demo of the platform, and excited to field some questions.
Well, first, I wanted to call out that you pointed to Chris as the in-house IT support, or the in-house IT expertise. So I wanted Chris to kind of give us a little bit of background and justify that name.
It's a big title to hold. It's not choose to fill, but yeah. So my background is in hyper growth startups. So I've been early in held senior tech roles at Compass, WeWork, Bird, Dave. I have a consulting business that I work with a ton of early stage startups throughout California and New York, as well as DC. So I have a quite extensive background on, especially when it comes to onboarding, offboarding workflows, especially when it comes to quick, fast moving companies who are onboarding, huge classes, offboarding massive amounts of people at a time, and managing those workflows in a streamlined way while being cost effective. So that's kind of a high level background of where I come from. Yeah, Dave. It's a great company name, right?
Just gets me every time. Okay, so I think our first question came from Andy. Andy, do you want to give it live? It was about loaners.
Oh, yeah. Okay. I don't remember the question I asked first. Yeah. So do you what about repairs? Do you folks handle repairs? Do you sort of give loaners out to people as they're getting things repaired? Actually, do you do that? If you do that, do you coordinate with like Apple Care for Enterprise or that sort of thing? Like what Where's the boundary?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Martin, do you want me to answer that one?
It's up to, I don't know how this works. Do I have to answer all the questions or?
I could jump in here. Actually, just introduce somebody. I just realized that she joined. Angelina is here as well from our product team. But we can help with all these questions. Yeah, I can dive in on this one since it's more of the IT repair question. Andy, so we help facilitate the repair. So we work with your Apple Care. So if it's Apple, we're going to reach out to Apple, get a quote for you, have you either approve or deny that, and then either handle the device in that way. So we can either send it out for the repair. You don't have to touch the device. We're going to pack it, send it out. We'll get it back in inventory, let you know how the repair went, do the testing for you, and get it back into your inventory. If you deny it, we'll get it back. Again, we'll assess it. We'll keep it in our storage for you, or you can look at disposing it at that point. But we'll help you facilitate that and kind of work with you to figure out what's the right flow for you. Cool. You also mentioned about disposal. Just look at your question here, disposals and loaners. We do have people who have loaners with us, and you could deploy a loaner out. We typically, and when it comes to remote employees, we typically suggest doing hot swaps. So sending out a new laptop and retrieving the old one, getting the old one back into inventory. That way you're not sending too many shipments back and forth and having people, set up a whole new machine and all that. Kind of keeps the workload down, keeps people more productive. And then disposal, like Martin said, we do resell, we do donations, we do recycling as well. So depending on whatever your usually it's legal and security teams are asking of you, we can handle those different workflows. And if you have anything particular that you need us to do in terms of like a DoD wipe or anything more extensive, we're happy to accommodate those as well.
The competitors comment, Andy, I like that. It's like, here's a slide. We do everything differently. So I think, there's a few people in the space, which people may or may not know. I think we're a few months behind a lot of those, and we wanted to have a different approach. And I think this idea of not having a license or subscription or paying per user or per device and having minimums, I think is something that is more of it's an ease of entry. And the idea is if we don't have a good platform, then you're not going to use it, and that's okay. So it helps hold us accountable to try and make the platform exceptional. And then just the idea of being agnostic to, you can bring in your devices, we'll hold them. If you don't have to procure them from us, you can procure them from us. So really trying to have an open process around being an extension of your IT team and handling all those logistics around onboarding and offboarding.
Just one thing to add to that, I think, is to make sure that we build our platform so that it's easy to use. It can really be a servicing tool that makes your lives easier. So I think I can touch on a lot of the API and the integration questions. That is definitely on our roadmap, and it is definitely high on our urgent roadmap to implement at the moment. Would love to hear more for those of you who want to share one of those feedback and which platforms are preferred and why. I'm happy to take any of those comments at any given time for the product team.
This question from Dominic: are you set up with distributors or local resellers? That's a great question. And then, can you do leasing? So the first question is, are we set up with distributors? Currently, we source and buy most likely from the same places that you are sourcing and buying from. So we're not authorized resellers. We actually buy from the same places you do. So we facilitate that transaction for you. We're buying at much higher volume, so our pricing can be better. So hopefully that can offset our 3% fee. And as far as leasing, we don't buy and then lease equipment like some companies do. But if your preferred method of sourcing is leasing, we can work between you and your leasing partner to figure out a workflow around that.
And Dominic, I saw your follow up here, and yeah, we purchase from other resellers that are authorized, so we can support the DEP process. Again, if you have a specific vendor you're working with, we're happy to set up a relationship with them as well. But we work with dozens across the globe to make sure we have coverage and have access to the most inventory possible.
there's a question here from Hiram. Are there any native integrations with MDM platforms? Are there any native integrations with SaaS directories like Okta and Google? So that's for you, Angelina.
Yeah, so this is what I was alluding to earlier. We have a ginormous release coming up at the end of the month, which we're very excited about, that we will shortly share. And I'm not going to burst the bubble at the moment, since you've gotten a really thorough walkthrough of our platform today. That's going to be our very first step, is like the more encompassing the workflows that we're introducing with the new release in end of the month. And then our very quick follow-up and a robust roadmap that we have upcoming are HRIS integrations, MDM integrations, and I think some of the, I think Okta definitely is high on my list. Right now, I think those are the platforms that you would expect to run on is currently being probably 1 and 1.5 quarters out in the integration roadmap, is how I put that. But I guess the first thing is, the goal here is to have the API for you guys and have the integrations for you guys to make your lives easy. I think the right now concrete plan of the timelines and things like that is what I would love to share with you in the near term future.
Right. Step 1 is APIs. Step 2, integration.
Correct. Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Glad that we are aligned at least.
Yeah,
100%.
we're sympathetic. We understand what order those things go in.
Yes. I love you guys already. Not everyone understands that, so thank you.
I think that's most of the question. Did I miss something? I would try to go through.
You said you raise hand. Is that?
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hope you guys can hear me. My headphones have been acting weird.
No, we're fine.
Thank you. Yeah, I just wanted to ask, do you guys offer any services on your platform to cater towards like conferences? Like for those of us who are companies that host conferences, we need to send out computers and hold them in storage, but we need to hold computers in storage, and it's usually a bulk amount just for conferences. So it kind of makes sense to me that you could use your services for the IT needs for different conferences. Like I'm sure Okta, when they're doing Octane, they have a huge supply of laptops just for their presenters that they have to worry about the distribution of for Octane, as one example. So yeah, do you guys offer services for conferencing?
Yeah, I mean, I think the neat thing about us is, we have a logistics platform that's focused around onboarding and offboarding to really create a remarkable employee experience, to help with all the things wrapped around that, from retention to attracting top talent, experience, all of that stuff. But at the ground level, we're the best at storing, logistics, shipping, tracking, coordinating. So we'd work with you on what is your conference schedule for the next 6 months or a year, understand what each of those entail, and then can provide storage, expectations, and logistical plans around how to execute on that for you. So it's not something I can demo today, but it'd just be a matter of working out what that looks like and then building it out. Is that a good enough answer here?
Oh yeah, no, that's great. Yeah, sorry, I was just chewing on that. No, this sounds great, and your platform is one I haven't seen before. At least the services you provide is something that I haven't seen before in the market. I've used and have had experience with other SaaS platforms that offer inventory, but it's usually purely just that, and it doesn't help with any of the logistics of distribution, which is not great, especially in the world that we live in now. So this is what you guys have here is very much unique. And then I think Andy had a question.
Yeah, I've always got questions. So I was curious about maybe it's future plans. But I was thinking about global distribution, and I was thinking about supply chain issues and delays in supply. I mean, most of the people on this call at some point will be like, I wanted to order a laptop and I had to wait 6 weeks, 12 weeks, etc. And I was trying to figure out like to what extent, like at the moment, I think you just buy and pass on. But are you starting to think about agreements with various sellers and resellers to help sort of smooth out some of those supply chain issues for people, particularly as we're starting to think about more global distribution? Yeah, maybe just leave it as a vague statement in that area and see what you have to say.
Yeah, I think being in a position where you're sourcing all types of equipment at different frequencies and levels for different companies globally, we have a good understanding of who has what and how we can get things. I think sourcing from all different places gives us that flexibility to find things, which is unique. But when supply chain gets constrained, having some insight into that based upon just buying and how things might be drying up, communicating with our clients to maybe ramp up their inventory based upon anticipated hiring that's going to happen in the next quarter or 2 quarters or year. So I think building that relationship and partnership with your account manager to understand where you're at today, where you're going tomorrow, and make sure that we have things and plans in place to accommodate that, I think is sort of what sets us apart. As far as us, I'm sure looking at statistically, how many of these devices did we procure at this time based upon historical data? We want to ramp up, make sure this is available, ensure negotiating with those primary suppliers to make sure that we anticipate something is something that we'll work towards as our volume, our client base, and all of that grows. So I think evolution over time with data and trends will allow us to meet those needs into the future.
Back to you here.
Okay. Yeah, just this one's more for Chris. So Chris, what's your favorite feature of the platform?
I'm a huge fan of retrievals. That was a big pain point for me at my previous company, is the retrieval and the redeployment process. It's really hands-on, right? You have to physically get a machine back. You have to clean it. You have to wipe it, prepare it for redeployment, right? And so that was something I really needed to get off my plate at Dave, at Bird, especially Bird, because we're global. We were popping up in cities all over the globe, and it was really hard to get laptops back from an employee in France, right? Back to our office in Amsterdam. And so I really wish there was an allwhere back in 2018, 2019, and especially now with the pandemic. So I think retrievals in the storage and redeployment processes are kind of my favorite feature set that we have.
Well, I didn't even it's been a good amount of time since I've had to work on the logistics and end of hardware and IT, and I kind of forgot how big of a deal retrievals are. It is a lot, and some of the companies that I've worked for in the past would just write off.
Yeah.
If it was anything not the laptop, would just write it off as just as a lost, as a liquid item, just to not do. And it's, if you're not keeping track of that stuff, that's a lot of money, a lot of loss there. And so I guess a follow-up on that is, so how does allwhere handle the retrievals? Is it something where you ship the employee like a box and a shipping label? Like, how does that work specifically?
Yeah, so we have a custom box that we work with that we place inside of another box, just for, obviously, when you're shipping things around, boxes get damaged. So we just make sure that box is secured. In that box, we'll place a return label, some instructions, I think there's a QR code on the instructions where they can schedule a pickup. The box has a section in there for like a keyboard and mouse, the charger. And so we're including all those instructions. So, and then when we ship out to that employee, which we're going to be verifying the address with the employee before we ship out, making sure that the HRS data that we get is 100% accurate. Ship that out. They have everything that they need. We're communicating with them constantly. So we have a person that's actually working behind the scenes, communicating with them, asking questions, following up with them if they haven't, packed and shipped things back, facilitating that process through, which is typically what would fall on an IT person to send all these emails back and forth, typically manually. We automated that. And then when the device gets back, we're going to do an assessment. We'll grade the device, typically between A and F. A being it's in perfect like new condition, F being it's been run over by a truck, probably needs to be something we dispose of. Once it's graded, we'll then clean it, erase it, get it set up for redeployment. If you have imaging requirements, we can do some configuration on those. If it's heavyweight, we typically will work with a partner in that case. Just due to the volume that we're doing, we need to sometimes outsource that, which of course we'll talk with you guys about beforehand. And then it's a matter of just allocating to a new employee to get shipped back out.
Wow, that's a lot from the back end of it. But the front end of it probably is super easy for like customers just to be able to do. Like we probably wouldn't see anything. It's just like, yep, click button and then not have to worry about it, which is a lot easier than what some companies have to go through.
100%.
Yeah, and I also wanted to like ask, Angelina, I know the big update that you guys have coming out at the end of the month will probably answer a lot of this, but I guess if I had like a product wish list when it came to like the inventory side of it, is just like I would really wish that that allwhere could integrate with like MDM specifically, just to pull in the assignments. I know it's great to pull in all of your devices from an MDM. But what's even better is also being able to auto take the data, those assignments between that directory of devices and the directory of people, and then pull that in. That way, if we have to, like if I have to do an update, like someone's laptop got swapped out, instead of me having to go into allwhere and then update it, and then also having to go into my MDM solution and then also update it, doing that double work, that would be a pain in the butt and would probably honestly lead to human error if it has to be done multiple times in different areas. So I would really love it if you could somehow, if allware could pull that data from an MDM, and then also if any updates are being done within allware, like reassignments of hardware, that also gets reflected or sent back to the MDM solution.
That exact flow is definitely what I constantly talk about and how we're going to boil down to our platform. On that side, HRIS and like pulling in the employees obviously is our top priority, because the allocating the devices can't happen without it. And it kind of serves all of our HR partners as well. But the MDM is definitely the next one that we'll tackle. You will be first on my list through Chris to let you know, and I would love to even have a separate conversation with you about your product feature asks if you'd like, but we'll keep you posted on our roadmap that's upcoming for the integrations.
Yeah, no, that's perfect. I just keep getting flashbacks to this one system that I had to work on for a different company, about 2,000 laptops, and it was all manual. Like it was already all in Janfall, everything assigned out, but there was no integration. And there was no bulk import or update for the assets. So it's just 2,000 manual entries and reassignments.
Yeah, so there's definitely like three things that I definitely have the product philosophy against is definitely enabling the bulk inputs and bulk outputs one way or another for any of these actions for you guys. That's really easy that we can input in the early stage of the product. So excited to put that in. But then the second is I'm not married to one MDM provider. I'm not married to one asset management solutions at the moment. So would love to sort of provide those integrations that's going to fit the clients the most. So we're going to look at some of those solutions that will enable, the most common ones that, API obviously being one of the solutions that is going to be most commonly used for you folks.
That's just music to my ears, I guess. And my last ask is like really like it'll be probably more late in the game. It's just a Slack integration would be great. Just allow employees to request things through Slack and admins to monitor. But that's got to be like a low ask, but it would be really nice.
Yes.
And I'll shut up now.
Yeah. So like, I think that the one of the things that I think we can do sooner than Slack, if you can believe it or not, is things like, especially for those European, the employees that you have, we can work with WhatsApp or some of the other platforms that might be leverageable. So that's something that I'm looking at now. And I know it's not the best, but It's just, we are just trying to reach the employees, especially for the, like, you know, the information that we would need, where they are. So Slack is definitely one of the things I would consider, and I'm looking at a few more daily usable employee communication access things as well. Really, yeah. So like the platforms that are where we have to meet the employees, I'm definitely looking at that. Slack is definitely high on my list. But whichever is going to get me the faster response from the employees, I'll definitely take a look at it and integrate with.
The thing is, if you come with WhatsApp in Europe, you will get a lot of GDPR questions, and
Yes.
you will not have a lot of European customers who will turn it on. Even if
good.
it's
Yeah.
if it's the best way to use it.
Yeah.
It's just not something that will be easily getting through. Anything that has Meta attached or Facebook will
That's
just
right.
fail.
You're totally right. I take that 100% back. It was on top of mine because it was like such an easy thing to turn on. It's integrated with everything. But yes, I share the same concern with you.
I'm relaying like European reality here.
Yes, thank you.
So real quick, just in the last few minutes, I wanted to do our traditional roundtable buy or no buy kind of thing. And so I think we'll start with the first person on my screen, which is Andy.
Oh boy. I don't know. Interesting, I think. We operate at a very big, very global scale. I could see us being interested in doing a pilot. Not really my call, but I'm going to have a chat with some folks and see what they say.
Next, we've got Brian.
Yeah, we've been doing some like remote onboarding recently, and we don't really have an internal like IT department, so like some of the internal IT stuff and operations and logistics stuff sort of follow me. So I might check it out for next hire.
Dominic.
Well, our most remote employees are hired in gray areas. So most of our remote employees are hired in gray areas. So that's kind of, makes it, would love to, I don't know where the next one is, but I would love to work with you generally, but with our, as long as the time zone fits, approach to hiring, we will fall into more gray zones in the future. So that might or might not be very useful for you from a business standpoint at this point, at least.
That's a real thing. Very young company. We know. Let's see. Ethan, we'll get through the yes or no's, and then we'll do one last question. Cassie, did you want to give a thought?
I think we actually really liked the retrieval. Steve, one of my coworkers, was on with me as well. That's something that we are dealing with these days. But the only concern we had was, being that we are a healthcare company, right? We would need you guys to sign a BAA, and looking at the newness of your company, I'm guessing you're not there yet. That was sort of a question. So that was our only thought. Otherwise, we really liked, especially the retrievals. We saw a lot of need for that. So, because we do those all in-house, and it's a real pain. So.
Hiram?
Your platform looks amazing. I am excited to see where you guys are going to go with it. My only hesitation would just be APIs and integrations, just because it's very important to get data in there, especially with like larger companies that have hundreds of thousands of assets that need to be tracked or shipped around globally. It's very important to make sure that integrations are there. But yeah, no, outside of that, you guys are doing something that hasn't I'm not sure if it's been said, but it's always been thought, which is, boy, wish we had a better way of doing the logistics on this, because we're having to throw actual people at this internally rather than, being able to find a place that can do it for us. And not only one thing, but you guys are doing a lot of things. The being able to recycle and show that certificate of the recycle and track depreciation and all of that. That's a lot. That's more than just logistics. So that's my closing thought.
And then Ethan, did you want to give a yes or no?
Yeah, I would say yes. Sorry, I joined the meeting late, but
It's okay.
I'm gonna fill me in, but on that one. But based on what he said, it's a yes.
And then I'm last. I have the luxury of sitting kind of in the middle of two very different kinds of companies in my recent experience. And so like a small company that would have really benefited, I think, from some of the like ease of use, and like definitely knew the value of, during that retrieval and turnover process, like that's a lot of people hours to turn those machines over. And a lot of decisions get made based on the fact that, we don't want to constantly be re-imaging, updating, storing machines. And then I've also, worked for a much larger company that I think could have benefited from it, but would have a lot of compliance concerns. So I think that's something that needs to be thought about and be addressed as you guys grow. Because I think that in those kinds of companies, they definitely could use it, and they would be, I think, excellent customers, but without being able to meet some of those like financial, healthcare, some of those deeper compliance needs, where, they might have policies that just kind of don't jive with the whole deal. And so, thinking about how you can address those concerns, how you can keep yourselves on top of your own compliance game so that you can address those questions when they come up, is going to be important. But I mean, I really like it. Like I said, you guys have a sort of a minimalist furniture store aesthetic that I'm really into. I like the features. I think they're all well thought out and useful, and definitely looking forward to seeing what you guys do. So, Ethan, you had a question right here at the end.
Yeah, thank you. Kind of put me on the spot. I have a question. So is the integration between the service desk ticket like Jira or ServiceNow available for allware? Because maybe like in allware going to be the laptop assigned to these users, right? But also have the Jira ticket available on the link, so can click in it and then direct us to the Jira ticket, so can put a comment or internal things. Do you think that's going to be on the way, or possibly be on the roadmap, things like that?
Ticketing tools in general are on the roadmap. I think right now is definitely, it's definitely on the roadmap. I think it's a matter of the order of which service ticket would be most popular at the moment. But yeah, Jira obviously being one of the top ones.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And where can people reach out to y'all if they have questions or they want to chat?
Yeah, so you can reach us at allware.co/contact to sign up for a demo. If you have any particular questions, feel free to DM me in BetterCloud. Happy to answer any questions. I think I'm at Cashman. So just shout. Happy to answer anything that you guys have, for sure.
Well, it was a glorious demo. Thank you so much. Thank you for being here today. I can't stop the recording, so it's just going. Colin, you can cut it off somewhere around here.